name is Rachel and today I'm going to be talking about Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. It's not a secret that I think that Jay Kristoff is a crappy person. I have a whole video on that, and I've actually filmed this video before. Back when I first started my channel, this was one of the first videos that I did, but as we've talked about, back when I first started my channel, I was trying to be somebody that I'm not, which is sweet. I am not sweet. I am very sour. I acknowledge that. The best way to describe it is actually that I was more timid, but I want to rant about this book as my true self. So here's my real review, which can be summed up in saying, I think Jay Kristoff blatantly ripped off a bunch of media again and admitted it again. I say again because it's not the first time that I've seen him do that. For more information, you can see my video on Jay Kristoff below. Before I start though, I want to say that when I read this, I did not dislike Jay Kristoff. I had read Nevernight and God's Grave at that point and gave them both 5 stars. I know that that's probably going to make y'all, certain of y'all have lower opinions of me, and honestly, that's fucking valid. I did like those books though, I'm not gonna lie to you. I would never reread them, especially because Dark Dawn was such a shit show and I gave it 2 stars. Like retroactively, it made me hate the rest of the series. But anyway, Aurora Rising was my gateway into not liking Jay Kristoff. I opened this and I was very excited about it back in 2018 when I read it. I was very excited. I like sci-fi. I grew up reading sci-fi. I grew up watching sci-fi. I watched Star Trek. I watched like Deep Space Nine. I love Star Trek. I watched Star Wars with my dad. I love sci-fi. So I read it, and instead of being like, yay, fun sci-fi, I was like that scene from Silver Linings Playbook.
What the fuck?
Based on the marketing and having previously liked 2 other books by one of these authors, I should have been a fan. Why wasn't I? I will tell you. There's gonna be spoilers though, just FYI. Aurora Rising is a YA sci-fi book. I say YA fantasy so often on this channel, it just comes out of my mouth automatically. It's a YA sci-fi book. It's the first in a trilogy, and allegedly it's getting an adaptation. We'll see. Aurora Rising is set in the future, and in this future, there's something called the Aurora Legion, which is basically Starfleet. It's the United Nations. It's like a UN neutral relief organization in space. It's Starfleet. And in this Aurora Legion Starfleet is Tyler Jones, one of our main characters, of which there are like 7. And Tyler Jones is an alpha. Not in the way that disgusts me with all of those wolf shifter romances. We've talked about this. Personal preference. I can't fucking stand it. Y'all know how I feel about that trope, but an alpha as in a team leader. Tyler's the golden boy, so he's going to be able to pick the best of his, recruits to do his Starfleet team. Except no, he's not, because the day before the draft, he goes into the Fold. And I know what you're thinking, the Fold? What's that? And I'll tell you, but you've already heard of it, just like you've already heard of a lot of pieces of this book, because Jay Kristoff didn't come up with anything new here. Well, maybe one thing. All the Fold is, that scene where it's like, fold a piece of paper and 2 points, and then you meet the 2 points. You know how everybody uses that? I believe that originated with A Wrinkle in Time, but a lot of media uses that. And instead of creating anything unique and new, Jay Kristoff made this book his biggest attempt to take things that other people have done, smash them together, and tell you, the reader, that it's a new thing. Don't let him lie to you. It's not a new thing. Anyway, Tyler Jones is in the Fold, goes on a joyride.
Buzz Lightyear mission log, stardate 4072. My ship is run off course en route to Sector 12.
And then he sees a ship and he figures out that there's a life form on it, right? And he's like, what? Impossible. And he goes on and he finds this girl in cryosleep, Aurora Jilin O'Malley, who is in cryosleep. He picks her up and takes her back to Starfleet Aurora Legion. Come to find out, she's been in cryosleep for 200 years. The mission she was supposed to go on went obviously terribly wrong. And through a series of events, she ends up with Tyler's team, who is kind of like a ragtag group, and things take off when she realizes that she's being pursued by certain entities and has these special powers that she didn't have before she went into cryosleep, by the way. And they have to kind of come together and figure out what's going on with her. And 1.5 million times throughout this book, she is referred to as a girl out of time, which gets really redundant and annoying. Aurora was sent on a a mission from Earth from the Ad Astra Corporation. She was supposed to go to this place called Octavia 3 where her dad and his new girlfriend was, and she was like, ew, I hate that you have a new girlfriend. Anyway, she was supposed to go to Octavia 3. She wakes up and she's like, yeah, this is not Octavia 3. I'm not supposed to be here. People are like, nah, you weren't supposed to go on a mission to Octavia 3. That place is uninhabitable. You're making that shit up. And she's like, no.
And there seems to be no sign of intelligent life anywhere.
I know what was happening 200 years ago. I know where I was supposed to go. So fuck off. Except she doesn't say fuck off because Aurora does not swear. She does not. It's made very clear that she does not say swear words. Anyway, Tyler's team that he's the alpha of, since he doesn't get to pick, ends up being him, his twin sister Scarlett, Kat, Cal, Zila, and Finn. Finn is the only thing that I like about this book because I felt that he's the only thing, as far as I know, that was not a ripoff of something else. I stopped saying this video is not sponsored by Monster Energy, but I want it to be. But my god, the way that this peach tea hits, it almost makes me want to be like a capitalist, soulless piece of shit. Soulless piece of shit. But because of all the reasons that y'all mentioned in my comments, no, I will not take a Monster sponsorship. However, I will keep buying their product because my god, do I need it. Listen, I tried, okay? I tried those ghost things that Carlos is now drinking. That does nothing for me. It's this or nothing, okay? Okay, where were we? Finn, right. So Finn is really the only thing I like about this book because I feel like he's the only thing that wasn't, as far as I know, a ripoff of another piece of sci-fi media. These youths, these literal teenagers, are all very good at what they do, okay? The Aurora Legion, the Starfleet of this book, has several different like factions, several different jobs you can do. They've all been highly trained, okay? But they're all sort of outcasts within Starfleet for a reason. And the marketing of this was like, these aren't the heroes we wanted, they're just the ones we could find. And that's not true because they are just as trained as everybody else in Starfleet. So I don't know, I feel like that was like an attempt to cash in on like the whole thing that like Six of Crows is doing, as well as like The Gilded Wolves by Roshni Chokshi, where it's like these are actual outcasts, societal outcasts, and you know they're just the only people that are available, like actual outcasts. Cal is the tank, which means he's the weapons guy. He's basically a dude that looks like Legolas, okay, and is part of an alien warrior race that everybody hates. Aurora literally calls him Lord Elrond. So if you think that you can give a pass to Jay Kristoff for this ripoff, the text proves you wrong. You cannot. And our intro to him, he is physically fighting other people and somehow does not get kicked out of Starfleet. As I said, the weapons guy of the team, he's called, the weapons people are called tanks. Finn, the one character that I actually liked, is the mechanic. Zila is the smart science person. She's called a brain. She is very short and adorable, but is very odd and is described, as you can see, as a sociopath. Her chapters, which were completely unnecessary, are like one paragraph long. You don't hear from her very much. And I also don't know if the rep of sociopathy is good in this. I don't know. So you'd have to investigate that, find out from a known voices person. It's not something I'm familiar with, so I don't know. I know somebody was asking me for like recommendations of books like that. I have not read one that I thought, from my very limited perspective, was good representation. So I'm not sure. I would love, if there is anybody in the community, please link them down below. Tyler's sister, Scarlett, is another part of the team, and she is the diplomat. So she like works as a go-between between them and whatever community they're talking to, whatever alien race that they're talking to. And then there's Kat, the pilot, who's Tyler's best friend, but they fucked once, and now there's like feelings, but it's mostly on Kat's part, and she's like obsessed with Tyler, and her entire character is, I'm a pilot, I love my best friend, and I hate Aurora because I think that they're flirting. That's her entire personality. Tyler is pretty nice to Aurora, and she's like going through it because she's, you know, over 200 years old and all of her family's dead. She's like, wow, I just woke up from a 200-year nap, but there's a shirtless boy. And then she proceeds to call him throughout the book, I shit you not, Captain Hotness. Listen, even teenagers are not doing that shit, okay? Anyway, she's just sitting at Starfleet, Aurora Legion for now. She woke up with one white eye, by the way, or woke up, she gets, when she, like, the magic powers, she gets a white eye and like a white streak. I don't know. I'm sure that's not relevant. Just kidding, it is. She has magic powers now. The squad gets sent on a mission, their first mission together, where they're supposed to deliver supplies to refugees on a star called Juno. But the commander of Aurora Academy, whose name is Battle Leader Destoy, is talking to Aurora and is like, oh, you'll be fine, but then like sends her like a coded message saying like, go hide on their ship. So she's on the ship and they're like, oh, fucking cool, a stowaway. And Cal, angry Legolas, is the one who finds her, and she's like, oh shit, I've seen that guy in a vision with one of my magic powers visions that I have now. And let me just add in here that Aurora at this point, upon seeing Cal in person for the first time, should be like, oh shit, that's an alien, right? And does not. Doesn't really make any sense. Anyways, then on Juno they get attacked, and it's because they have Aurora with them, so clearly people are after her. Then they rescue her. Well, she gets taken into custody and then they rescue her back, and I think that she killed the guards because whenever she falls asleep now, post cryo sleep, shit gets fucked up. Anyway, so Stowaway on a ragtag cruise ship has magic powers and is being stalked by a government entity. What I just described to you is literally Firefly. So yeah, beat for beat. A gaggle of societal misfits goes on a mission. They discover a girl on board who was in cryo sleep, who after she awakens has magic powers, government's after her, crew decides to take her under their wing. That's Firefly. Okay, just so we're clear. So what do we have so far? Firefly, a little bit of, what's his name? The Hobbit guy. A little bit of Hobbit guy. Tolkien, thank you. Who did I say thank you to? Myself? What the fuck? They're on the ship and Scarlet, the diplomat, redhead hot girl, encounters Aurora, who they call Ori, which I don't like, so I'm not going to call her that. She has broken out of her sleeping chamber, is sleepwalking through the ship, and Scarlet sees Aurora, and Aurora does telekinesis to like keep Scarlet away from her and changes the course of the ship. And then Zila, the really small girl who is described as a sociopath, stuns Aurora and then rescues Scarlet. After, the squad is like, what the fuck are we supposed to do with this girl? She's like laying there unconscious. They realize that she changed their navigation to go to a planet called Sempiternity. They're like, we need to go back to Starfleet. And Aurora again uses her powers to stop the spaceship until Tyler agrees to take them all to Sempiternity. They arrive at Sempiternity, which is also called the World Ship. They split up to gather clothing and information, and they need a place to lie low. So Tyler takes Cal and Aurora, so Legolas and Firefly Girl, into a bar to catch up on like news, to like listen in on some gossip and find some information. But there's a group of people from the Unbroken, it's irrelevant, I'm not gonna tell you about it. They all get into a bar fight, okay? So they go to a lawless planet, split up, and some of them get into a bar fight. Are you following? Because I'm sure this is gonna start sounding familiar in a second. After this, Scarlet and Zila are running around doing some shopping, you know, as girls do, I suppose. Jay Kristoff, that's probably what he thinks. And they're like, oh shit, there's news on, and Aurora is on the news as a fugitive, so that's great. So then they go to Finn's cousin's house and they're like, we need to figure out a plan of what the fuck to do. And they fall asleep and Aurora's powers come alive again. And while asleep, she keeps painting this figure over and over. Finn's cousin and the rest of the squad help them identify the figure as an artifact of this empire that was part of a museum owned by this guy named Bianchi. And Aurora's like, by the way, I've heard of that empire in my visions, just FYI. And the figure is an art piece called The Trigger. And Bianchi is a man who is described as a collector. And then they go and they try to steal this artifact from said collector. So let me just re-describe what happened to you, because I asked my husband, and at the time that I was reading this, I also asked my dad, and I sent them both this message to see if it sounded familiar to them, and it did, okay? In Name Redacted, ragtag group of main characters goes to a planet that's like dilapidated and dirty, typically holds societal outcasts, and is operating outside of any sort of government jurisdiction. Also acts as like a trading hub planet. And on this planet, the group, half of the group splits up, and part of the group goes and gets into a bar fight. Also, while on this planet, they go to see a man who is described as a collector who collects artifacts and also living beings. They go to see him about a particular artifact so that they can take it, and it goes very poorly. Does that sound familiar to you? Because it's quite literally the plot of Guardians of the Galaxy. Anyways, so that's Firefly, a little bit of Tolkien, and Guardians of the Galaxy. Tyler, Scarlet, and Aurora crash a masquerade ball that Bianchi is throwing. They get the trigger, and Tyler's like, if this is the trigger, then what's the weapon? Wow, gee, I wonder. Almost barely escape. And then Zila is like, by the way, the GIA agents that have been showing up, I took off one of their helmets and there's like a plant growing out of the eye socket. So that's probably going to be a problem because the person is like obviously dead and the plant is clearly operating the suit and the body is just like a vessel. And Aurora is like, I know that lady, that was my dad's girlfriend. And she was actually supposed to be Aurora's mentor when she arrived on Octavia 3 for Aurora to do this mission that she had been training to do. And Cal's like, oh wait, I've actually seen another GIA agent who is a living plant. But the GIA is like the head governing authority. So they're like, who the fuck are we supposed to report this to if we now know that 2 of their agents have been being operated by plants?
Buzz Lightyear to Star Command. Come in, Star Command.
So Zila decides, I'm actually gonna knock Aurora unconscious because every time that she manifests her powers, she's been unconscious, so let me just knock her ass out. And then Cal snaps, and he's been like weirdly protective of Aurora, and it's because in his race they have mating bonds and he feels one towards Aurora. Scarlet's like, she's unconscious, let's ask her a bunch of fucking questions. And Aurora does answer and she says that she's one of the ancient ones. And they're like, wait a minute, those were all wiped out like a millennia and a half ago. Tyler's like, what do you want, ancient one? And Aurora makes the trigger rise up. She like cracks it and it shatters, but on the inside was a diamond with like a pattern on it. And she's like, come here, diamond. And it comes into her hand and it lays in her palm, and then it projects light that forms a map of the galaxy.
Put it on.
Wait. How did you...
It's a storage device. It's genetically encrypted to your father, and therefore to you.
If you listen, I have a lot in common with Jay Kristoff, okay? That's what annoys me about him, is we have a lot in common. I like A Day to Remember, he likes A Day to Remember. I like Sleep Token, he likes Sleep Token. I love Gladiator. He stole the most iconic line from Gladiator and put it in his other book series. So clearly he likes Gladiator too. One could say a little too much, although do you really like something if you steal from it? But you are not gonna sit here and steal things from my favorite animated movie, Titan AE. You are not, sir, going to steal from Titan AE and have me not point it out, sir. That is literally what happens to Kale in Titan AE. The palm and the map and okay, sure. I know you did not just rip off the greatest animated sci-fi film of all fucking time. You did not make that shit up. You can't pretend with me. Oh, I hate having things in common with him. I know he's watched Titan AE. I know who he stole that from. And Cal's freaking out because the ancient one is like hurting Aurora's body, and he's like, no, my mate. Oh, I hate that word. And the map is like flying and it's like, you know, adrenaline's rushing, and the ancient one inside him is like, inside of her is like, beware. And Cal is like, release my almost girlfriend. And then the ancient one says, makes Aurora say, all burn, and then it releases her. So Cal, when Aurora wakes up, starts questioning her after Zila's like, yeah, medically she's fine. She remembers everything like she was watching it from like having an out-of-body experience. And she's like, just by the way, why is it that why are you being so protective of me? What's wrong with you? And he's like, listen, I didn't want to freak you out, but there's this thing called the pull, and it's like a mating bond. And he's like, I can't control it, but I can control what I do about it. You don't have to, we don't have to date, and in fact I can dip like when this mission is over and you don't have to worry about me. He's like, I'll resign, you don't gotta worry about it. I'll deal with my feelings on my own. I'm a lone wolf. I'm a lone Legolas wolf. And it's like, okay, chill the fuck out, dude. So they look at the map, Cat maps it out, and there's like weak points in the fold according to the map, and the weakest spot that they're close to is Octavia 3. And the GIA had told everybody that there was a virus on Octavia 3 and that nobody is supposed to go there. And they're like, well, the GIA agents that we've come into contact with, 2 of them have leaves coming out their eyeballs, so like maybe we should check it out and ignore their advice, which is a crime. So they're gonna go commit a crime. On the way there, the GIA is like, hey, no, stop it. But then that ship, the GIA ship, gets attacked by Bianchi, the collector, who wants his trigger back. It's too late. She already did a Titan AE with it. Sorry, dude, you're gonna have to chop her hand off now. There is a settlement on Octavia 3 that they see, and they're like, oh, maybe there were people here. That's interesting.
I've crash landed on a strange planet.
Their ship is damaged. They go around, they're like looking for parts and shit.
My ship! Blast. This will take weeks to repair.
And the air is full of what looks to be pollen.
Terrain seems a bit unstable.
Context clues would make you immediately jump to where this is going, but apparently not. And the ground is covered in plants. Plants that look awfully familiar. And Aurora's like, this is not the planet that this is not how this planet was supposed to look. Like, I knew a lot about this planet. I was very well educated on my mission, and this is not how things were supposed to go. And then a chimpanzee jumps out in a very Ad Astra moment, which, did Ad Astra copy this book? Who knows? The chimpanzee is fighting them, and a cat gets injured. Zila blows the chimp's head off, and because Cat was injured, she's been exposed to like the elements of the planet. They split up. They're looking for medicine for Cat, and while they're split up, Aurora like, hey, by the way, you don't have to resign. Like, we could see where this goes. I don't know. Let's fuck around and find out, I guess. She's like, I'm not interested in you, Legolas, Elrond, whatever she calls him. He's like, oh, cool. And I'm like, I want to die. They eventually get in a fight with the people, the plant people. They get to the med center. They have to fight more chimpanzees. A ship from GIA is coming in. They find the parts. They're gonna be able to fix their ship, but like Cat is not getting any better. So Aurora, having, you know, magic powers, decides to get into Cat's mind and talk to her. And they have a little share sesh, and they come to an understanding about each other. And I'm like, yeah, but we didn't need to spend this whole book where Cat's entire personality arc was, I had sex with my best guy friend once, and I'm really into him, and I'm a tomboy who really likes her best friend, and he talks to another girl who's girlier than me, and I don't like it. That's so stupid. We didn't need that at all. Stop putting in unnecessary girl hate into your books. Grow up. In Cat's mind, Aurora starts to understand that the thing that's taking over Cat's mind is like a consciousness. So basically, it's like the zombie thing from The Last of Us, where it's all connected, but it's a plant, and it's connected to not just the things that it infects, but it's infected to like every part of the plant, everything that it infects, and also like any other planets where this like infected thing is, like it's all part of a hive mind. The ancient ones had almost destroyed it long ago, but then it began waking. It, you know, somehow took over Octavia 3, and it's trying to spread across the galaxy, but the ancient ones put in place something to fight it, which was Aurora. So the GIA ship shows up, but it's full of these things that they call princeps, which are the people, the zombie plant people. And the leader of them, who they've seen before, takes off his mask, and it's Aurora's dad.
I'll never give in. You killed my father.
No, Buzz. I am your father.
Which is really sad, actually. He's like, we're all connected. We're all a hive mind. And he's like, join us. And she's like, oh, I kind of want to because I do miss my family. But she's like, that's probably not my dad, so maybe no. But Cat is overtaken by this hive entity. But like, there's just enough of her to like help her friends get off the planet before she's overtaken. And in the end, she's like, I'm at peace. I know that Tyler loved me all along. And I was like, oh wow, I really fucking hate what they did to Cat. That was really shitty. So it's a parasitic organism that can reproduce and grow by consuming sentient life forms of sufficient biomass and cognitive ability. So it's the Flood from Halo. Okay, cool. So we have Titan AE, Halo, Tolkien, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Firefly. Great. Good job, Jay. So let me actually just like go back over that one more time because I also left out Starfleet. So Starfleet members do a Firefly, and the river in this version is Aurora, who also serves as the Kale from Titan AE in one scene. Her soon-to-be boyfriend is a Tolkien elf, and she and the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy go get a artifact from a collector on a planet with no government jurisdiction, and then fly off to a planet overtaken by the Flood. Did I get that right? I just think if this is your second fucking sci-fi series, you should be able to come up with your own shit by now. But what can I expect from the man who admitted to stealing the most iconic line of Gladiator? When I read this originally, I did think that the world building was like fine, but the longer I've sat with it, the more I've come to understand that Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman did not really do anything new or unique here. They didn't really world build at all. They simply relied on stuff that readers are already familiar with as a shortcut to make their own sci-fi story. And the biggest example of that is the whole idea of the fold. Really, that's all this book is. It is an amalgamation of shit they didn't actually come up with. It's just reminiscent of other types of media enough so that you are, of other media set in space, so that you are already familiar with what they're trying to showcase to you. The other media has already done all of the work for them. All they had to do was take a bunch of it and just piecemeal it together and call it their own thing. There's like some complicated stuff with like certain kinds of aliens and references to different alien races, but I feel like a lot of it was reminiscent to Star Trek. There are different politics and there are different cultures, and it's interesting, I guess, but it's pretty underdone, and all of it can probably be traced back to Star Trek. With the exception of Finn, which is the one thing that I liked about this book. I thought that his race of alien, the race that he was a part of, was really interesting, and I enjoyed learning about his people and his culture in particular, the few bits and pieces that we got of that. Finn basically carries this book, him and Cal. When Cal was not doing the whole mating bond thing, he was actually kind of cool. The dialogue between all of them, though, is so fucking ridiculous. Aurora referring to Tyler as Captain Hotness is so incredibly cringy. I practically imploded with how hard I cringed into myself. Aurora's the worst. As I said, she refuses to swear, so she says stuff like holy cake and son of a biscuit instead of just swearing. I don't know, maybe Jay was trying to get like as far as fuck away from Mia as he could. But Aurora really just needed to yell the F word one time and get it the fuck out of her system at the beginning of the book so that we didn't have to hear holy cake and son of a biscuit for the rest of the book. It was really trying too hard to like make this like ragtag group of people coming together, and there's like butting of heads and trying to work together, but it's hard to get along. It's like trying to do like the Six of Crows, Guardians of the Galaxy thing, but those two pieces of media did it really effortlessly with their dialogue, and this is just like a horribly gone wrong failure to execute that when it came to dialogue, because it was trying so fucking hard to be funny rather than like relying on the natural ways that the characters are to bring out the humor naturally. I just found most of the interactions so annoying with the exception of Finian. I didn't really care what was happening with them. Honestly, I could have just read a book about just Finian. Like that would have been fine. That would have been great actually. There's no like women friendships here, which was really concerning. Like, Amy, you didn't think to say to Jay, hey, maybe we don't need unnecessary girl hate. What we need here is girls getting along, since there's no reason not to. Okay, this is why I don't trust Amy Kaufman. It reeked of everything that I hate about love triangles without ever actually even having the love triangle at all. It was just shit. It was a shit triangle. It didn't serve any purpose to the story. In fact, it detracted from the story because it was just girl hate for no fucking reason between Kat and Aurora. Aurora is dealing with all this trauma, and Kat never thought, maybe I should be a little compassionate. Maybe it's not a big deal if Tyler and Aurora flirt. Maybe I should just do my job. And maybe I could just have a conversation. And Tyler did nothing to fix it. It's just ridiculous. And it's not Aurora's responsibility. The responsibility lies on the writers to not have written it that way. The Guardians of the Galaxy thing, like that was really annoying, down to the part where it like calls the guy a collector. You couldn't think to call him like a curator. He literally runs a museum and you called him the collector and not a curator. You didn't even try to distinguish it from Guardians of the Galaxy. And in fact, no, he didn't try at all to distinguish it, because he literally says in his own Goodreads review of his book that it is Guardians of the Galaxy. So please don't try to tell me that he did not do a little copy pasta, because he did a little copy pasta, as he does. There's so much that could have been done differently here. It just was not... once again, it just drives me up the wall that this man keeps getting away with ripping off other pieces of media and everybody just gives him a pass. It's really annoying. It's really annoying. Like, there are other authors out here creating such wildly unique stuff and not relying on ripping off other pieces of media and saying that they're ripping off other pieces of media, and yet Jay Kristoff is the one making the money here. I don't get it. And if they're gonna make this into a series, they're gonna have to like... they're gonna have to change some shit. Otherwise, I feel like Disney's gonna be like, as the owner of Marvel, I'm feeling some kind of way about this. You know what I mean? That's how everything I hated about Aurora Rising. It was stupid. It was just an amalgamation of everything you've seen in sci-fi, slip slapped together with, as I say, spit, prayer, and a dry glue stick. And for some reason, it's wildly fucking popular. People eat this shit up. This series has a very high Goodreads review rating. I don't get it. I do not fucking get it. I don't understand. But then again, I am typically the odd man out when it comes to opinions. Anyway, that's my take on Aurora Rising. I think it's just a ripoff, and Jay Kristoff is, as usual, in my opinion, the worst. Have I read the next book? No. Will I? I don't know. If you want me to, I suppose I can, when I'm done with commissions, try to get to finishing series. If you want me to read it, just, I guess, leave a comment down below. Okay? One of the books does have Finn on the cover, which was like, it was appealing to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. Okay? Because I would have, oh, sorry. Because there was a part about Finn where in his race of alien that there's a saying in his race that says, your family seals your den. And there was like a whole story behind that and a whole like really important meaning. And I thought that was so good. That was my favorite part of the book. And it was such a small little stupid piece. I was like, why didn't we just do that? I would have read a whole book about just like Cal and Finn. That's it. That's the tweet. I would have read a book about Cal and Finn. Why didn't we do that? Why did we do stupid shit instead? Why did we do copy pasta instead? I hate it here. Anyway, I am interested in possibly reading that book because maybe I'll get more Finn stuff, but I just assume that like it's just gonna be more ripping off of stuff. Cringy dialogue that feels really, really young for the like actual audience that it's intended to be for. I don't understand. I don't understand. But if you want me to read the rest of the series, I don't know, comment down below and let me know. Okay? Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.
To infinity and beyond.
Hi, it's me, Trash Can Rachel, and before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons, and those are Alexander, Amanda, Ashley, Bubble Tea, Chris, Claire, Des Roberts, Emperor's New Blues, DJ Krimmer, Eric, Jack and Jill, John E, Casey Mackenzie, sorry, Kate, Kelly K, Quinn, Lex, Lula, Molly, Mrs. Kittybug, Alice, Peggy Lou, Witch Bitch, Rain, Scarlett, Samar, Shiny, SMK, and Zachary. Thank you all so much for being a friend. And I also have to say thank you for being a friend to my Potato Slush Marxists patrons, and those are AM Angel, Aiden, Alicia, Amanda B, Andy, Angelica, Anita, Artie the Ninth, Ashley H, Aubrey P, BB, Blythe, Bookish Barbie, Ray, Bree, Brenda, Bryn, Caitlin, Carlin, Catherine, Kathy, Chris, CJ, Colleen, Courtney, Corwin, Corey, Darren, Deborah, Diet Goth, Dorian, Dorothea, Ebby, Eden, Elise, Ember, Emily A, Emily L, Faith, Grace, Gracie, Hannah C, Hannah T, Harpy Kuro, Hello There Darling, Ilyanaka, India Inks, JM Tenet, Jackal All Trades, Jay Zaman Olympus, JT, Jen H, Jennifer T, Jenny G, Jillian, Jules, Kaylee, Kat, Katya, Keely, Kendra, Kylie, Ellenberg, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura G, Lauren B, Library of Scars, Lisa B, Liz Cardigan, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Maddie, Marquita, Maz, Malara, Meow Meow, James, Nat, Natalie, Never, Nicole G, Nicole R, Nicole T, Nikki, 9 Binary, Paige E, Paige P, Foxglove, Pixel Stars, Piratheon, Quill, Rachel B, Raquel, Rat Sarah, Reba, Rebecca, Ren, Robin, Rowan, Other Rowan, Samantha, Sarah H, Sarah K, Sarah the Bear, Scarlett, Shanae, Shannon, Shayna, Sheena K, Sean, Sierra, Stephanie, Talia, 3 Old Dogs, Tiana, Toast, Trash Can Teddy, Tito Phoenix, Yesenia, Valentine, and Writer A. Thank you all so much for being a friend.